I've got a batch of corn whiskey here, that corn wash that I'm distilling out. This was done over winter, and it stalled so many times it wasn't funny. It just got too cold here, and I don't have I'm off grid, so I don't have heater belts and stuff for fermenters. And that's even with the botched sort of fermentation, that's still coming out about 82-83%. There's a couple of people that have messaged me and asked questions about yields recently, and with the thumper keg here, I'm getting anywhere. I usually start around 85, and this is just a little old 50 litre pot still with the gas that I use here off grid. That's nothing flash. There's no reflux. No reflux going on in there. It's just a pot still with a short length of copper pipe as a column. Yeah, basically a lot of the problems that some people have asked me about, I think, comes down to their brewing techniques, and brewing is the brewing and fermenting of your wash is just a bigger deal as what kind of still you're running and how you're running your still. If you're making dud wash, you're going to get dud product out the end. Maybe not a dud product. So I'll rephrase that. If you're making a wash that doesn't have a very high yield, then you can't expect a big yield out the other end. It may taste fine with whatever you're doing, but you can't make something that's got, say, fermented out, has 5 litres of alcohol in it, and expect to get 10 litres alcohol yielded out of the end of it. So yeah, I just wanted to reiterate that the brewing side of this, and your recipes and what you're making, is just a bigger deal as how you build your still, or how you put your still together and run it. Other thing a few people have been asking me about was or questioning was the alcohol percentage I start taking off on a lot of my runs with the pot still and thumper, and with regard to what they were getting off with their pot stills. I'd run this real slow, which gets me a better start, better finish. If you run it real hard and fast and real cruel, more like a stripping run, you're going to take off a lot more water and cogeners and all sorts of crap with your liquor, and you're going to start with a lower ABV if you're running it real hard and hot. So I'm about 2 quarts through at the moment, and I'm down to probably about 79 minus the upsurge. 79 ABV, so it's dropping off fairly slowly for a small run. It's only 50 litres of wash in there, and as I said earlier, that was a bit of a dud run, but it's a corn wash. I like corn liquor, so I'm going to persevere with it. I was saying earlier, I had to install a couple of times the ferment, and I just had a copper cooling coil that I dropped into the fermenting tank and ran hot water through to bring the temperature back up. I don't have electric heat belts and fermenter belts, straps, and all that sort of stuff. So I'm not quite third world, but pretty down dirty here. But yeah, the speed that you take your product off is going to have a big bearing on what your flavour and your ABV proof of your alcohol is going to be to start with, and to finish with as well. Other thing too, sorry, well, I remember, is the thumper. Thumper makes a huge difference. If you're just running a straight pot still, you're gonna drop say 10 or 15% ABV to start with straight away. Just the thumper will boost it that much. If I was just running the pot still straight into the condenser, I'd probably expect to start taking off somewhere between 70 to 75% alcohol by volume. Running the thumper in the middle there, I'd be disappointed if I didn't start around 85 thereabouts with a good wash that had fermented out fully and fermented out dry. So yeah, it's what you get out the end there, aside from the brewing, which is, you know, if you screw that up, you've done yourself a disservice to begin with. What you get out the end there is really based a lot on how you run your still and how hard and fast, and whether you're being a bit cruel with it or whether you're being patient and slow with it, giving it some time. This is probably the last jar I'll take out of it, down to about 60% by volume. Still coming off the little pencil lead thick stream. I'll just let that jar top up and then I'll cut it off. It's probably around 60, I think. Just over 60 at the moment, so by the time it's finished filling that jar, I should be on about 60. And then I'll crank up the heat a little bit and I'll rip off one more jar of Fanes here. I've got back ends, whatever you want to call it. I'll have probably about 4.5 quarts. I took up a couple of little bits in pint jars there, just so I can test those and see if they're any good for how far the heads went through into it. I went pretty deep with the 4 shots into the heads, so hopefully maybe discard one of those, 2 of those, and end up with the rest of the stuff to temper back. Yeah, from running the thumper, I usually stop around 60, 55 as far as taking product. Oh, that's what I got out of that one was 4 quarts, ranging from 80 down to 60, and a quart and a pint of Fanes, which is the heads and tails taken off each end. So I'll pop these guys in a larger vessel at some point soon and temper them back. And that's I'll just shut the still down. I have to unplug everything and cool it down. One thing I don't think I've mentioned in my earlier videos is that when you shut your still down, especially if you're running a thumper in there in the middle, which is basically interference, you want to equalise the pressure through the system very quickly. I've got this on here, which is just a vestige of a convoluted sort of drainage system I had from an earlier thumper keg, so I can just uncouple that. What can happen is that the vessel cooling down as quickly as they do can actually crush your kettle like a tin can. I just go by the adage that it's better safe than sorry, so I just, as soon as I've turned the gas off, I unclamp this little fella here, and it just normalises the pressure through here down into the thumper, and the thumper's already got a vent out here to the condenser, so that takes care of itself there. It just means I'm not going to get any vacuums formed. Yeah. So yeah, that's about it. I'll catch you next video. I'll probably be doing something with a reflux column. I've been doing a number of stripping runs with a big 200 litre stainless kettle I built, and the next step after my next stripping run or 2 is to throw the reflux deflegmator head onto the reflux column I've got for it, and start a spirit run, try and get out some as close to neutral spirit as I can. So I'll come back and show you that in possibly a few more weeks' time.